Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
What's up, fam? Birds of a Feather live from the Real Talk Studios, live on A2DRadio.com. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant making yours. GibsonMayer.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question this week after week one of the NFL season kicking off. What's your biggest takeaway after week one of the NFL season? The Eagles' defense might be scary good. The Browns didn't lose. Cowboys offense, unimpressive. Aaron Rodgers' comeback was unreal. There's other things that went down. We're going to get into Tampa Bay and their performance this week. The Jets against
There's just
the
so
Lions.
many.
There was a lot of
many.
A lot of really good storylines that came out of week one. So we're going to touch on them, guys. We got Ralphie D over on the ones and twos.
Ralphie.
Again, filling in for Mr. Brodo.
What up, boys?
We love having you back, Ralphie.
Yep.
Chucks, Chrome. We're live with you guys. Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. Are we going to have the big dog step in here? That's what I said. I did invite the big dog in.
Hey, look who's joining.
We're going to get him mic'd up. We got the big dog. We got the Godfather
You
here.
don't need a freaking mic. You don't need a mic. You don't need a mic. You're making me drop phones and everything. Ridiculous.
We're getting mic'd up. We got our guests here. The big dog, the Godfather, Thomas Arnone,
Always good
joining
to have
us. Big week this week, and we'll let Ralphie get that set up. We're going to talk big week this week, obviously. We kicked off Thursday with a W. A lot of scary moments in this game.
Oh, my God.
A lot of bright spots to come out with. I think the defense is definitely a big highlight that we're going to break into. And again, we're going to go down the league. We're going to talk about week one, biggest storylines that came out of it.
Definitely.
Is Tampa Bay for real? We'll figure that out. Is Fitzpatrick their new quarterback? Who knows? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Jets and the Lions and the atrocity that was the Lions coughing, 21 points up in how much time? 2 minutes? We're going to talk about that. We're getting the Godfather mic'd up here.
Yes, we are.
What's up, brother?
What's up,
Welcome.
Big Daddy?
It just feels good to be back, boys.
Yes,
it does.
week one.
It does. Meaningful football is always the best thing going. I mean, I love baseball, but when week one starts in football, it's the most excited I get for something to kick off.
I just want to cry.
I'm
saying.
I'm going to go in right away to the poll question, and we're going to get into the Eagles in a minute. For me, it was Aaron Rodgers' comeback. That was insane. And I missed a portion of the game. Clearly, as everybody knows, I was in Omaha to see the Nebraska-Colorado game. When I got on the plane, Aaron Rodgers was just getting carted off the field, or when we were getting ready to take off.
Breaking our hearts.
To me, and it was Khalil Mack was just having his way with the Packers offense, essentially. To me, I kind of wrote it off. When we landed, at this point, they had just gotten it to 17 points. And I'm like, oh, okay, we got a little bit of a comeback. And I see Aaron Rodgers is on the field because I'm like, oh, shit, my fantasy teams are done because I got Rodgers as my quarterback in two of them.
Yeah, thinking the same thing.
And you think Aaron Rodgers, like we talked about it, and this is one thing I'll agree with the Collinsworth said, whether you're a fan of the Packers or not, he's one of those guys, like, you hate to see him go down. And for 2 years in a row to be thinking that this is going to happen again, not a fan, obviously.
Yeah.
But then we're walking, and we're starting to walk to baggage claim, and they had the TV on. So just stop to see. The Packers had just taken the ball on offense. And then 3 plays, boom, 75-yarder Randall Cobb. Oh, my God.
Talk
Did
about
this
a roller
just
coaster.
happen?
Well, I
Wow.
fell
First pass
asleep,
was an interception. First one was supposed to be an interception by Fuller.
Yeah.
And then 2 plays later, it's gone. It's unreal.
Try being sleeping the whole time and wake up. So I woke up to them being down, whatever they were down before that last drive. So maybe like 5 minutes before that, I woke up and I was like, man, how are they losing 20-0?
Yeah.
Like with Rodgers in the game, like, come on. Like I know the Bears defense is upgraded. I get all that, but how are they winning 20-0? And then then I started seeing like, well, Rodgers got hurt and they thought he tore his knee up and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, you know what? They're going to go on a drive and win this game right now. And Mitchell Trubisky is who we thought he was. And I think that would be something to add into the poll question. He's exactly who we thought he was. He's not good enough. You want to really see that jump from year 1 to year 2. We talk about quarterbacks. Dak never jumped from year 1 to year 2. And now Dak has regressed big time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Big
I'm
time.
looking at the same
Big time.
thing. The same thing. I have the same issue with Mitchell, right? He can throw outside the pocket. He can't throw inside the pocket. That's a problem in this league.
Yeah.
You can be athletic all you want. You got to be able to make enough throws inside the pocket. And that's my concern with him right now. And that whole Bears team, I thought they really upgraded. I think they're a better football team. But it all starts with your quarterback, and I don't know how good he is.
Well, I think when it comes to Trubisky, I had said last week I thought the Bears did what the Eagles did, and I thought the Bears on paper won the offseason, had the best offseason on paper because they surrounded Trubisky with a team actually,
Absolutely,
and with a good coach.
He had a lot of toys to play with.
So like at the same time though, I did not expect Trubisky to have a jump like Wentz. Like to me, he's not that type of talent. I think Trubisky can down the line be a solid quarterback.
I agree.
And with a great team around him, you could do stuff with him. But again, it's really early to expect a lot out of Trubisky. But to answer the poll question, I'm gonna have to also say Aaron Rodgers, because I'll respect, you guys know I love Wentz. He will be the best quarterback in the league for years to come.
Who, Carson?
I've said that, Carson.
Yeah,
Carson
I
Wentz.
agree with you.
He will be. But right now, it's still Rodgers' time.
Still Aaron
To me,
Rodgers'
it's
leg.
still Aaron Rodgers as the best quarterback. And if Vinny
I
Massington,
can't buy it.
if Vinny Massington, my boy, is on here, he's going to throw a fit.
He's going to agree
But
with me.
He's going to agree with me. But
Yeah,
to me,
it's Brady.
To me, the greatest of all time is Brady. But there's a different conversation when you're talking greatest and best. To me, greatest, you talk about accomplishments, resume, regardless of circumstance. You're talking about moments that you remember by. That's Brady. But if you're talking about best, if you're just trying to isolate the most talented and the best quarterback I've seen, like, play the game, it's Rodgers.
Well,
I've never seen
Zach Boylan
anyone.
says the same thing that you say.
I've never seen
I agree
anyone
with Charles.
do the things that Rodgers can do. And this is no slight on Brady because, again, he is the GOAT. Regardless of what circumstances are, whether he had Belichick or not, he's accomplished the most, and you got to give it to him. But I'm just talking from an entertainment and being able to see with my eyes what a quarterback can do. To me, from my 32 years young, watching football, as long as I've watched football, I've never seen a quarterback do what Aaron Rodgers can do.
Well, like I said, Zach Boylan talks about, he mentioned the best passer of the football. And that's a good way of phrasing it. Like, he's never seen a guy be able to throw the football like he does. He got a ton of zip,
Well,
throwing
you do
one
have
leg.
Marino. You do have Marino. Marino, some people will argue Marino's the best passer, but complete package, being able to do it on the run, move, scramble, just because, guys, keep in mind, that Packers, Mike McCarthy is a good motivator of leader of men, but in terms of an offensive mind, Mike McCarthy sucks. He does not have an offensive system in Green Bay. Their pass concepts are garbage. They're laughable. Like, teams laugh at their offensive system. Aaron Rodgers literally is that offense in Green Bay. He is.
And I think Aaron Rodgers makes a lot of those receivers he's played with much better than they are when they leave there and they go. And they have established quarterbacks that throw the football to them.
Well, 12 does the same thing in New England. Right, I mean, guys look great with 12, and you go elsewhere, and you're not good. I mean,
Definitely.
That's a
Oh,
Deion
definitely.
Branch effect. But to the poll question,
Definitely.
I'm going to go outside of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
go
go
ahead.
away from Rodgers. The best defense in the NFL sits right here in Philadelphia. That's factual.
Preach.
I don't care what anybody has to say. That's without Nigel Bradham, okay, which even makes you deeper, right? You get Hicks back. Your front eight is the best in the entire league. I mean, your second
tore
front
them up.
four is better than most teams' starting front fours. They go get you at the quarterback position. Listen, people can take shots at Matt Ryan and the Atlanta offense all they want, okay? There's one place they struggled the last 2 years at, and that's here, okay? They don't struggle offensively many other times, right? They don't, but they struggle here.
Yeah.
So what's that? Is that Matt Ryan's a choke artist? No. That's his defense is as good as we thought they were, right? And we saw this last
and
year.
Not even just Bradham. You don't have Timmy Jernigan on the defense
Jernigan,
either.
Yep.
A lot of your big dogs.
Yeah. You want to hear an interesting stat real quick to touch on that? Because I'm glad you brought it up because if it wasn't for me picking Rodgers, I would have went Eagles too. But the Falcons gained 3.6 yards per play when Eagles defensive lineman Michael Bennett was on the field, which is 40 snaps. And they averaged 6.3 yards per play when he was off the
Michael
field.
Bennett was
the
other day.
Was tearing that offensive line of the Falcons a new one every single snap.
I don't know if he's going to sustain it, and I think that he could because of the way that we rotate guys in and out and keep guys fresh. But he looked like a different player than he has over the last year or two in Seattle, which I think he came in here with a different mindset, knowing he's going to a championship caliber team that has a culture in place and an expectation. And I think for the first night out on the gate, I thought he looked fantastic and was one of the real bright points of the night.
And he doesn't have to face double teams now. Cox faces the double teams.
Yeah.
So he's getting all the he's going one-on-one against a lineman. He's going to beat that lineman out all day.
Well,
at this point,
we overlook competition. Mm-hmm. You know, I think people can overlook the competition side of it. Right? You come somewhere, he's not starting. Right? And you already hear him talking about, man, he wants to be on the field. He wants to start. Mm-hmm. Right? And he's almost taken back that he's not starting. Yeah. Well, what's that going to do to any pro? It's going to make you work a little harder.
Yep.
Right? And especially a guy who's been in his position as good as he's been for so long, to me, it's going to make a guy work harder. Competition makes everybody better, right? I look at our secondary. I say the same thing when you talk about, Ronald's got to come off the field for a play. Rasul's got to come in. Oh, who's going to light him up, right? Pick, right? But it's everything that I saw from last year led right into game one. Mm-hmm. Next man up mentality. You need a goal line stop. Nigel's not in, right? And Grugier Hill comes make a play. We're right where we left off. We're next guy up.
Grugier Hill,
you know what I mean?
Can I just say, Grugier Hill had a game.
He did. He
had
a ball
game. He was one of the highlights of the defense. Can I just say that?
But isn't that
all over the field?
But isn't that right in the last year? I mean,
sure.
People are like, Tom, how are you going to say back-to-back again after week one? Because I saw the same team. I saw the same football team without the best quarterback in football, in my opinion. Because when he's healthy and on the field, there's nobody better.
Can I say this?
I saw that last year. There ain't nobody better than 11 when he's healthy and ready to go.
Can I say this? Grugier Hill, in that one game, and it's just one game, but in that one game, played a better game than Michael Kendricks has ever played all of last season. I will go and say that. I'll put a stamp on that.
Wow, man, that's insider trading right there.
I will
he's got to have some information on the inside for that.
He played a better. I've seen him play a better game against the Falcons than Kendricks.
He's part of my family a little bit, semi. Like, he's semi-part of my family.
Grugier Hill?
Yeah, like a little bit. Like, in terms of my wife's sister, right? Her husband, niece, dates him. They're going out.
Really?
So it's like a semi-connection. I'm reaching, I'm reaching, but it's a semi-connection.
It's more of a connection than anyone
I need a board up here to, draw the lines and map it all together.
I see what it is. But the guy
like
balled.
My 18th cousin of a cousin.
No, but I mean, Ronald Darby, I thought, came out and again had a ball game.
God.
He has proven that he is the number one defensive back on this football
team.
Rodney
had a great game, too.
Rodney McLeod had a very good game. I think that Jalen Mills, and me and Ralphie talked about this. I love Jalen, but Jalen's still falling he's falling for the double fakes. He's letting guys get over the top of him, and he's got to figure that out. But I thought that,
but he's played solid enough.
He played a good game.
He played solid enough, and I will take that.
He did, but he continues to fall for that move, and I need him to work on that. I feel like Jimmy Dugan, where it's like you're still missing the cutoff man. Now it's something I'd like for you to work on in the offseason for next season. Like, that's what I feel like every time I watch him do that. It drives me nuts.
I don't watch baseball, but I love that movie. So I know.
That's the only knock I have on his game. I think when we were talking about, and you had said, and maybe it'll spark another debate, I don't know. He is a good defensive back, probably not the number one guy, but on this team it doesn't matter if you're a 1-2, whatever.
Because they play so well together. And he brings what he lacks in skill and talent, he makes up for in confidence and leadership.
I agree.
And that's why I still say, even though
– Did you see that crumb tackle last night before his pick six? You see 22. You see 22 for the Rams tackling last night. That Crumb, he don't tackle nobody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I look at Jalen, who's not as talented as him, wants to come get his beak wet all day. I noticed Sydney same way. You know, Ron and and when you talk about it all the time, me and you, whenever we got mics together, we always talk about like I like my corners to come up and get dirty. I need my corners to tackle well.
You got to tackle.
That's something we did great last year as our secondary. We limited the big plays by tackling well in open field, in open space.
Speaking of tackling, the one play of Sidney Jones, we sniffed that screen out late in the game.
Yep.
Ooh, that rookie. Quote unquote rookie.
Yeah.
As Chris Collinsworth said he was. Oh man, I felt like that was his that was a big confidence boost. That was a huge play.
No, and I think again, the defense in the red zone stepped up, and I know that the Falcons aren't a great red zone offense. They weren't last year. Clearly, they still have woes with that. But regardless, they still stepped up. They made the plays. They plugged up the running holes when they needed to, and I thought that was a huge momentum boost early in the game for them to get going early and get that defense confident.
Well, I really wanted to come out and see no hangover, right? And you know,
I can see it now with the defense.
I love the early on you kick. You put your dogs on the field early.
Yep.
That's the best part of your football team with 11 on the sideline.
Yeah.
So you put your dogs on the field first and let them go eat. And then you're concerned, right? I mean, they're driving the field and you're like, here we go. They're going to go get 7. You know what I mean? It's the old, our old curse where, like, we open up a huge night and we take it out. And then they stand up. And the way they stand up right after that was all I needed to see to be like, yeah, we're back. And we're probably better.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I think you can definitely say that defense is going to be better this year than it was last year.
Let me hit the fam a little bit, and then we'll discuss the
20 minutes
side
in. 20 minutes in, we haven't even hit the comments.
Apologize, guys. It was a lot to talk about. Tom already jumped in before he knew he was coming on. Eagles defense is scary, good boys. Kyle Meager, Browns didn't lose by far. Joseph Samuels, our D is damn good, and Dak blows. Greg Malakovic, what's up, fellas? Browns not losing, of course. They win with Baker. That's a fair point. Read me Frank's.
Frank says, hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. Has to be Browns not losing. Completely threw me off guard. At least I'm not one of the suckers in the suicide pool I'm in that picked the Saints.
Greg says, hot take number 2, Nick Foles is so bad the Eagles worked out Paxton Lynch today. We were talking about that. Robert Petiti.
Robert Petiti says, Patricia will get pretty boy QB killed and won't last like all the Belichick failed clones. Gruden might not make it to Las Vegas, and the NFC East sucks. Redskins look improved, but Alex Smith, what has he ever done?
I'm not going to buy into you that the NFC sucks because I think the Giants are players. I really do, and I'm not going to buy into it. I'll buy into that the Dallas Cowboys are atrocious, but I am not buying into the Giants not being a tough football team. I think it's really underestimating that team that was a playoff team 2 years ago who struggled last year, whose talent's back, and you get stronger in your backfield. To say they aren't a competition for us, that's just being biased and a liar. That's all that is.
They were in the game against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Against the Jaguars.
When last season ended.
They should be with the quarterback.
Yeah. But when last season ended, and Charles will vouch for this, I said, we don't know what the Giants are going to be next year because we got, like you said, playoff team the year before, and they had so many injuries to so many key players. And I know that we did the next man up mentality. You can't expect everybody to be able to pull that off. I mean, they had Guy go down week after week after week after week. They had a terrible head coach, which is a big difference maker there. You didn't know what you were going to have coming into this year. So now they have a new head coach. They have Saquon Barkley. They did enough to the offensive line, although we talked about it. Didn't look great the other day. But we knew there was going to be concerns, at least on the right side. Nate Solder had a tough game. Some of the other guys.
And Hernandez both.
Solder I'm okay with. Hernandez I think will be okay too.
They will be.
I think they were rough out of the game.
My issue is Eric Flowers. You know, and how long are you going to keep running that train wreck out there?
Oh, my God.
And he cost them the football game.
Don't get me started.
We're with you. We've been
so
talking
bad.
about that.
Don't get me started.
And that's a high pick. I mean, that's a top 10 pick out of the U that's flat out stunk. Flat out stunk, but you keep running them out there.
Two players who I wonder for the life of me why they have starting jobs, Eric Flowers and Blake Bortles. Why in the world do they have starting jobs in the NFL?
Well, Bortles I can wrap my head around a little bit.
No, I can't because he sucks. Jaguars would have won. Jaguars would have won that game handily if it wasn't for Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles sucks. He sucks. He is the worst starter in the whole league.
Oh, that's debatable. You know who started for the Bills?
Yeah, and he's right around there.
Oh, stop it.
I will say
Stop
that.
it. The guy was
Bortles
4 for
sucks.
27 before he got put out of the game. Listen,
Bortles.
Nate Peterman, whatever the fuck his name is, can't hold Blake's jock, and that's how bad Nate is. That's just showing you how bad Nate
All right,
is.
I'll put
You go everybody else,
I'll
fine.
put Blake
but
above.
no Nate.
I'll put Blake
No Nate.
above them, but they're in the same tier to me. They all suck. They all suck. Bortles, I'm sorry, you cannot convince me that Bortles is a starting caliber quarterback in this league, and I'll just leave it at that. There's no way you can convince
I don't
me.
think anybody disagrees with that point.
Yeah.
He's just Nate's the worst. If we want to add in starters, and then we'll say Allen right now.
Understandable.
Because he looks like a train wreck too.
Corey Awachu says, what was Aaron Rodgers hide up on after the game? Vinny Masson, Tommy, nice new couches. He likes the couches.
Yes. I like the couches.
Kyle Meager says, hey, look, it's Tom. It is Tom. Read Chris Rico's for me.
Chris Rico says, Eagles defense is scary good, especially with Jordan Hicks back in the mix. Having that proven middle linebacker makes all the difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Couldn't agree with you more, brother. Yeah, Kyle, I do live here, Kyle.
Vinny is back in. He says, I like the pick Tom posted earlier of Trubisky with the guy wide open.
I think that was Burton, too, wasn't it, Vinny? I think that was Burton.
It was.
Where his hand's like, dude, I can make this throw.
see.
You know what I mean? Like Trey's like, I can make this throw, Mitchell. Or can I, Mitch, whatever I'm allowed to call you. I'm wide open. I made the throw last year to a quarterback. You can't hit me. That's what's going through his head, if you want to know what Trey was thinking.
He also says Brady will go deeper again at 41 than Rodgers. I love Rodgers and always said him and Elway are the two most skilled.
That's true. And both Vinny's comments, I agree with.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Bill Mishraki says, what's good, my OGs? What's up,
What's up,
brother?
Bill?
Corey says, what are your guys' thoughts on the Bucs this week?
We'll get into that later. I
Yeah,
think.
give us a few minutes. We're going to chime into that.
Well, I'm leaving, because I'm going to let the boys rock out.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of time to talk tomorrow night. But
so let's jump.
roll job.
Go ahead.
Roll job.
Roll job.
Insane.
Roll job. They ain't putting them points up again. But
No,
let's
they're
clarify.
not.
Saints defense
They're
isn't any
not.
good. Let's clarify that, too. Okay, really overhyped defense.
Oh, sure.
Extremely overhyped defense. They got some players back there. Yeah, they're still not where they want to be.
No.
In terms of a top 10 or 15 defense in this league. They're somewhere in that middle to below pack of teams. Now, I had a feeling. I sat on the couch and said, Fitzy might come out and sling it. You never know. You never know what Ryan Fitzpatrick you're getting. You know, he's a backup for a reason.
Exactly.
But when you put up that many points last week, ebb and flow of the league comes back to you. We roll them.
Regress to the
Because
mean.
Nick plays well in Tampa. He always has. He always has. So, is there any concern on my end of this team? No. Deshaun's not playing with the concussion, so you cancel him out of the mix. He had a big monster day week 1. You cancel him out. Guys' numbers come back down to earth. Mike Evans doesn't catch him for 160 yards this week again. Okay? So I feel like Mike Evans catches for about 70, or you don't even know he's on the field.
I think
that's the
one
kind of
deep ball.
vibe I'm getting.
I think he gets one deep ball or one deep touchdown, and that's it. I mean, he's a good wide receiver. One double move on Mills, I could see it happening. But I get what you're saying, and I agree wholeheartedly. He's not going to have 160 on us.
No, I just think the numbers will come down. Like, Fitzy might throw 1 or 2 touchdowns. He's not throwing 4 again.
Right.
I think we got to score a little bit, and I think we will.
And
so
And that's going to be the key is the offense. Is the
Yeah.
offense going to show up because we had a very rocky week this week as far as the offense went?
I think our offense is going to, like what you said, regress to the mean. I don't think we're going to be as bad this week. And to what Doug Peterson did admit, on early in the game against Atlanta, he eased Ajayi in because of that injury.
Yeah.
And got him rolling in the second half. And he admitted
Once he started rolling.
He said you're going to see more of Ajayi here and out. So
Well,
I
guess
think
what?
we run all over their asses. On
I actually like what he did, though. Like, I actually like the starter and the closer.
Yeah.
Makes sense? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I actually like the thought process behind it. Get Sproles in, starter, essentially, like a starting pitcher. And then when we get a lead, we're going to come in and close you out. And we're going to close you out with our big physical
I'm
back.
not against that. I'm
so
not against that.
But, I mean, obviously there's going to be mixing around throughout the game. But the first drive, I had no problem. Like, I was, Sproles again. Okay. And listen, the Darren's credit, he made some big plays for us.
Yes,
I
he
thought
did.
Sproles played
it's
really
good to
well
have
for
back.
his
He
first
played well.
game back.
Yeah.
I thought Ajayi, once he was in and he started going, he was
unreal.
rolling. And to Chuck's point, Chuck's kept saying when we were watching the game, I think Clement impatience was your issue with him.
I just rewatched all of his snaps, and almost every single one except the one late in the fourth quarter that you pointed out.
Yeah.
He exhibited lack of patience, and that is the huge thing when it comes to Clement.
I
love his versatility.
Yeah.
That I do not want to take that away from him. I love his versatility and his potential. But if you were to tell me, or I'm going to say one thing he really needs to work on, it's his patience. Go back and look, and he's constantly hitting the hole so fast. These lanes don't develop.
Yeah,
he ran into Wisniewski on one run because he approached the line way too fast, and he doesn't let things develop fast enough, or he doesn't let the lane develop first and then wait. He's always hitting it so aggressive. And there was one run where Ajayi, he got the handoff at the mesh point, and he literally just took 2 slow steps, let the lane develop, and went up for 8 yards. Clement, you never saw any of them. And if you go watch his runs, that's why he kept getting 1 yard, 2 yard, 1 yard, loss, 0 yards.
Yeah, and then the one
because
big run
the
he
one
had,
big
he
run,
ran.
it was no there.
Nobody there. He's running right
There was
into
no
him.
one there.
Yeah.
No one
Sweeps
there.
goes, what do you have, a magnet in his pocket? Like, you know what I mean? He was like, I'm like, why is he going? Like, I love guys who love contact, but it's like
Make
you
a miss.
dude, you have the whole sideline. You're going this way.
What did
Where
I
you going?
Yep.
Chrome, what did I say at the bar when that happened? I'm like, Clement, make him miss. You have one guy in front between you and the end zone and all of this field, and he went right into him. And then on that same position, luckily we scored. But Ajayi, on his touchdown run, he had one defender in space to make miss, and he made his defender miss. That's the difference. That's why Ajayi is the guy and Clement isn't.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely
Clement
the guy.
still has to work on some stuff. And I don't want people to misconstrue my position. I hope Clement gets better and becomes the guy of our future. That would be awesome. But right now, I'm telling you how it is, and the truth is, he's still got a lot to work on.
What is Paul Schruger saying?
Where's it at?
I don't know. We're behind on comments.
Yeah. Let me run through, and I'll start catching them up. Well, we're not that far. On here, we're not. YouTube, we probably are. Read me Billy Mashraki's comment. He says, let me tell you something.
Oh, let me tell you
His
something
Facebook
about
shit is
Rodgers.
I know, so it's ridiculous.
I played him in fantasy, and I couldn't believe the second half. What a beast. Clutch, reliable player. And the Illuminati had something to do with Rodgers. Wentz, make him work harder and get healthier, build more passion, etc.
Paul Schugger says, Kendricks was always the preseason MVP. Greg Malakovic, 6 degrees of chrome. I guess that was when we were talking about your whole connecting thing. Mike D'Andrea says, can't wait to see Bradham play. Paul chimes back and says, we'll only get better when we get healthy. Chris Patrick O'Neill says, go. I'm assuming go Eagles. Yes, sir. Read Paul's again.
Paul Schruger says, who is this guy? They just throw money at every position and hope it sticks. They still have a shaky Eli Manning and on O-line and an O-line that hasn't aged well.
Who, are you talking about me?
No.
The
Who
Giants
is this guy?
don't have- yeah, I don't
Maybe.
know. The Giants don't have another target beyond OBJ and Saquon. A little pressure.
They
will
don't?
crumple Eli.
They don't.
Evan
I'm not a
Ingram,
Giants.
Sterling
I'm not a
Shepard.
Giants fan, but you got to watch the game. I hate the
yeah.
Giants with a passion. All right, this is who I root for.
Sterling
but
Shepard.
unbiased, they're the second best team in the division.
I don't know what
I'm not saying they're better than the Eagles because they're not, but they're the second best team. Somebody's allowed to be second. Somebody's allowed to be second.
And I don't know what he's
Ingram's
saying.
a problem if you haven't watched.
Ingram is a problem. I don't know what he's talking about. An aged O-line. They have Nate Solder, who is a veteran, but they just drafted Will Hernandez. He's a rookie.
Yeah,
And the other guys aren't old. Eric Flowers, for as bad as he is, he's not old.
I'm not crowning the Giants, and let me make that clear again.
Yeah.
I'm far from crowning the Giants.
No one is crowning the
I think they're the
Giants.
second best team in the division, and I think they give us the biggest struggle. Does that mean they're going to beat us? I'm not saying that. I just think they pose the biggest struggle for us to win this division.
Listen, when we win the
That's it.
division and we look in the rear view mirror, the first car we see behind us is going to be
the
blue.
New York
It's going to be
Giants.
blue, white, and red.
People want the.
That's all
yeah.
we're saying. It's not going to have a star on the side of it. It's not going to have a feather hanging out of the window. It's going to be the Giants. It's going to be a big car there. That's all we're saying. And then that's okay. We're still going to be up in the forefront.
Yeah, we're still up in the front.
Yeah.
And you say, who is this guy? Oh, hey, I'm Tom. I own the bitch, and now I'm talking. So that's who I am, and I'm allowed to have an opinion, and I don't have to be like everybody else you're going to listen to outside of here that's going to fucking be biased as shit and not tell you that's a good football team. Okay? Yeah, they lost to a Jaguars team they should have beat. Right? And the way Bortles played, they definitely should have beat them.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the Giants. That's on their failures. I'm not saying they're a playoff team. I say they're the closest team in this division outside of us to being a playoff team. They were just a playoff team 2 years ago. And they quit last year and a ton of injuries. Evan Ingram's a freaking problem. Okay?
he's a
Sterling
good player.
Shepard's a good player.
Yep.
Odell's an issue. We know all this
They
stuff
got
already.
a lot of weapons
got
on that
weapons.
offense. It's
got
all
weapons.
about the offensive line and the defense is what they have to. And really the questions are the quarterback. You know.
I'm out for you boys.
Thanks, brother.
All right.
Thanks for having me
Big
on.
Daddy, it was
Appreciate
good.
it having you on.
Who is this guy?
Now
The
with
Giants
me
are
and you,
good.
we're gonna kill it.
Who is this guy? That's Daddy.
Saying we're going back to back. Did I not? I started off saying we're going back to back.
You did.
There goes
Yeah.
our biggest Giants fan of the studio on his way out. Oh, boy.
Read them down.
Back to Bill Mastracki says, our defense is definitely superior than last year. Our boy Mike Parker says, what's up, Highlands Finest and Tom?
Woo!
Yes, sir. He says, well, you have to read the next one. I can't read.
Titans. He says, I'm hunkering down this weekend as Hurricane Florence gets ready to rearrange the Carolinas.
Take care
Eagles
of
before they win.
yourself, brother.
Be
You and the
safe,
fam,
Mike.
man. Be careful.
Honestly, be
Stay
safe.
out of the garage.
Yeah,
No
true.
garage
Yeah,
talk this
seriously.
week, buddy.
Yeah,
Yep.
please, God, no.
Well, Bill chimes back in, funk the Bucks. We need a wideout one. Chris says, how about Jason Peters not missing a beat at 36 years old coming off of ACL?
Ooh,
Legend.
Great game.
Great point. Absolutely. We talked about that. Peters came in, and it was like he never missed a game.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
pretty
man.
crazy.
At his age, just shows the super talent, Hall of Fame talent that this guy is.
Can I just say real quick, and you guys can resume, but he played a great game. I think everyone knows that, was able to see that. Pro Football Focus graded him at 63. Gave him a grade of 63 out of 100. They need to
What game
go
were they
home.
watching?
What game are they watching?
Seriously.
Like, honestly, you need to get that grading system.
He
and
was
throw
going
it
up
in the
against one
garbage.
of the best D rushers in the league, and Vic Beasley and Tack McKinley, and they were nothing.
They were nothing.
Nothing.
I don't know what 63. Grade of 63. Stop it.
Looks like Bill's out. Bill says good night, fellas. Thanks for joining us,
Thanks,
buddy.
Bill.
We appreciate it, pal. Come back and join us. We're on every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know where you're from.
All right, so YouTube, we got some. We got TTP Ballin was the first comment, not Dave Rosca.
TTP.
TTP says 1-0,
First of
baby.
all, let's recognize that TTP managed to break the Rosca streak and get the first comment in.
Ooh, look at that.
Congratulations
That's
to you, buddy.
accomplishment.
That just shows it's a new football season.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Very nice.
Stevie Vernon 1 says Rodgers is a god. Dave Rosca says never forget at 2001 September 11th.
Yes.
Yes.
Obviously,
Never
it's
forget.
the anniversary of 9/11. Never forget, guys.
Yes, correct. He says my Rams kicked ass last night. We will never ever forget what happened in 2001. TPTP Ballin says, yo, my prediction for this game was damn near perfect until 5 minutes left in the game. I said 13-10 Atlanta. Foles would throw 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. Julio was player of the game if Falcons won. I've never been so happy to be wrong, LMAO. And it feels even better knowing Dallas and New York are 0-1.
Julio had a bald game, man. I thought he had a pretty good game.
Yeah, he did.
He was one of the big bright spots for them.
Over 100,
Yeah.
almost over 150 receiving.
He's such a freak of nature.
He's so
Yeah.
good.
Like, I'm with Tom. Tom's in the minority. I think I'd take Julio over Antonio Brown. For me,
I'd rather
big,
take a
strong
freaky wide
receiver
Yeah,
like
I'd rather
that.
take a wide receiver like that.
And I feel like the dynamic that he brings. I mean, Antonio Brown is Antonio Brown, and we know the skill that he has in getting open and the speed and everything. But for me, Julio is a dual threat because he can do those kinds of things. But, man, when you're in the end zone, there's not many that
Yeah.
are better that can jump up and reach and grab footballs than Julio Jones. I mean, I can't even imagine what he would look like with Carson Wentz throwing him the football.
Let's
Hey,
trade from.
I've been an AB guy.
They keep stinking, maybe.
I've been an AB guy for years. I stick by AB. I would take AB in a heartbeat. But AB, Julio, OBJ, they're the three. The top tier, I will not argue. I will
Yeah.
not complain.
They're by
against
themselves,
anyone.
too.
They're
And
by themselves.
Yeah.
Parker
It's up
said
there.
Octo Kitten, and he said Julio's better at jump balls, just not versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
Also a true statement. Very true.
I just don't get how, and I think you guys know this stat, the 1 for 20 stat with him and Matt Ryan in the red zone for
crazy.
the past 2 years.
But
How do you go for 1 for 20?
It's unbelievable too
yeah.
because he's so good in the red zone,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt Ryan is really Ryan is really a good quarterback.
He's a
Yeah.
good quarterback.
But for whatever reason, their chemistry down in there and putting the ball in placement or whatever it is, it just doesn't happen.
just
It's one of
doesn't
those
happen.
You want-
weird, shocking stats that when you hear it, you're like, really?
But you
Yeah.
want to know why? a big reason why is because of Steve Sarkisian and his play calling.
And you're probably right about that.
That
I
is
would agree
a
with that.
huge reason. And Julio got his 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. And a big reason why is because Kyle Shanahan. And
He's a mastermind, man.
He's to me, and you know me, and I'm not saying overall coach. I'm talking about offensive mind. I will still stand by my words for my belief that Kyle Shanahan is the best offensive mind in the game. And what he did with the Falcons the year they went to the Super Bowl is crazy good. And that's why Julio and Matt Ryan had the years that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Once he left and Steve Sarkisian came in, all went downhill. That's why Julio doesn't have the touchdowns.
Shane Brown says Julio and the Eagles would be Super Bowl scary in all caps. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. David in Atlanta says, always go Falcons, hope we meet in the playoffs. That would be...
What's up, David?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, man. We appreciate
Atlanta
it.
took, not only by losing, but they lost Keanu Neal and Deion Jones.
Yeah, they had some pretty tough injuries.
I hate already to...
That's a big blow to their defense.
I hate to overreact after week one, but it's really hard to see
We've
them
seen that
make
plenty
the
of
playoffs.
times, huh?
Well, I picked
know.
the Saints over Atlanta, and I'm not feeling real good about either of those two right now in the division.
Shit, Carolina might go 15-1, huh?
My God.
Oh my God! But Deion Jones and Keanu Neal, those are huge. Those are like arguably the two best defensive players.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a
Losing them,
cornerstone of the defense?
Yeah,
oh my
absolutely.
Gosh, I don't know if they make the playoffs anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
It's going to be an uphill battle for sure, and they got to figure it out offensively.
Well, Jones is coming back. Neal's out for the season.
Jones is coming
Yeah.
back, so he's on the.
But
boom-
can you
the-
replace
okay.
Neal with somebody that's so good as him,
Yeah,
you know,
you can't.
through his career
You
so
can't
far?
replace him.
Yeah.
That's tough. David Roscoe says my Rams will be 2-0. Alexander Verrucci says, "Yo, checking in. What's up, Alexander?
What's up, Alexander?
Brodo chimes in on the
The
two.
bro.
He
What's
gives
up, buddy?
3.
We miss you, pal. Welcome
three,
back.
Oh, 3 Eagles as his comment.
Okay.
He says, "I'll be back tomorrow, LOL."
I was
On
going to
the
say,
fix.
Brodo's back on the
On the
fix,
with Ralphie.
making his return to A2D
Yes.
Radio. He's going to be over
Long-awaited.
here with Ralphie D,
Long-awaited return.
Noah,
Yeah.
Frank. Man,
Yeah.
the whole
The
crew's
fucking
going to be
Goon
in
Squad's back.
here. Yeah, it is. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The bad
It
news
sucks that
bears.
Ryan didn't fall off the boat, but whatever.
Oh, that's not
Oh
nice.
God.
That's not nice. Ryan.
ASMR.
That's why that was the Laker crumb in you coming out.
It had to be said.
God. ASMR me of everything says, "What's up, boys? What's up, man?" And TTB Ballin says Julio had 169. Ronald Darby also played well. I think Carolina wins their division. Bold prediction.
I'll tell you
Mike
what,
Parker-
Ronald. Go ahead.
Well, Mike Parker with Caroline, and good point. Greg Olsen is out for a substantial amount
Yeah.
of time.
Yes, he is.
We don't know if it's going to be for the year. They did put him on IR, and he says in here the Panthers contemplated, I guess, taking him out for the year. Maybe he's not on IR now. He's just
I know
out.
it's something
He's
with
not
his
on
foot.
IR, but he's gonna.
He's
miss
out, right?
Yeah.
So they've
He's gonna
thought
miss
about
time.
putting him on IR. I'm sure we're going to learn more about that as the coming week and weeks go. But that's a huge blow for them.
Yeah. Well, you saw what
Huge.
happened last year with them too when they lost Olsen with the back injury.
He's one of those guys. He's as sure-handed and one of the best tight ends in the game. But not even just that, he's a leader on the field.
Yeah.
And they miss that leadership. And listen, again, I don't want to. I'm not a Cam hater, but I'm not as much as most are. But you need more leaders on the field with Cam because I don't think he's quite that number one guy on the field. And I felt like Olsen is kind of the heartbeat of that offense in a lot of ways.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the Eagles game before we go around the league?
Well, listen, Foles. Let's talk about the obvious. Foles didn't look great,
No,
By-
you fucking didn't.
and I'm being real nice.
Yeah.
It didn't look good, especially
ahead,
that
you be
first
nice.
half.
You
I'll-
be nice.
I'll be
because I won't.
I will say that he looked like a little bit of a different quarterback after the, semblance of the
special.
Philly
He
special
looked like the
that they
St.
ran.
Louis Rams
Philly.
quarterback is what he looked like when he was in St. Louis.
Well, the first half.
Yeah.
I thought that he played with a little bit more confidence. Now, we still had turnovers after that, but I felt like he looked more confident. I felt like his balls that he was throwing had a little bit more zip to him after that play when
His
he started to
balls.
build his confidence. But that being said, it was concerning what we saw. And Greg touched on it earlier. You know, the joke that it did happen. They bought Paxton Lynch in.
Yeah.
But there's concern with it. Let's be realistic. And now, does this affect, or is it a coincidence that now we're hearing there's an outside chance that Carson may come back for this week? Or possibly
so.
week 3, because
I fucking hope
a
so.
week ago we were hearing.
I can't take another week.
A week ago not even a week ago, we were hearing October.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, now we're hearing that Carson Wentz may be ready to go for week 2.
It's the work of Jesus. That's all.
Reality,
The work of Jesus.
Ginger Jesus, first of all.
Oh my
Reality is, I don't think he'll be back. Realistically, but do I think there's a very realistic chance he could be back for week 3 against Indianapolis?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, if he gets cleared on Friday for contact, now Doug's got a tough decision to make.
Well, I heard
Does
the
he-
decision was already made, though.
I'm still rolling with Foles this week.
Okay.
But if he's cleared for contact Friday, my man's getting ready for Indianapolis
Now listen.
and ready to roll out.
Let me give you this, both of you.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Carson gets cleared for contact on Friday, right, and Doug still decides to go with Foles for Sunday, and Foles has the same performance he did in Tampa and at home this Thursday, what he did in the first half, do you see Carson coming in for the second half?
Studfeld.
No.
Really?
I don't see it coming
I don't think that Carson's going to hit. Carson will be probably the third string this week. If he's good to go on the active roster. I see him probably being the third string guy. But for me, absolutely get ready to go for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't think they would throw him in there without any reps, preparation. You know, like he needs, when he comes back, he's going to need that full week of preparation because he's been out. So I don't think they would do that.
Antonio Rolone says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late." No worries, buddy.
No
You're
worries.
not late. You're just in time, buddy.
Just in time.
He says, how do you feel about Sproles taking the majority of the first half reps? We did touch on it a little bit earlier, but I think that we were at first a little bit baffled by it, but hearing the logic after the fact is, you know, with Ajayi's injury and just kind of easing him in. And I think Tom put it first. It was almost like having a starter and a closer, to use baseball terms. I thought it looked good, and I thought that he came out and really had a good showing for himself, specifically coming off of that injury.
Yeah.
He just right in full throttle.
Yeah.
Again, like a Jason Peters, we talked about him. These guys are how old, and they come in, and it's like they didn't miss a beat. You know, they just got right in. He's receiving balls, and he's returning. I loved it. I thought it was good, and I thought it was a good confidence boost for him to kick off his season. Obviously, clearly it didn't affect Ajayi by any stretch of the imagination, and they still rotated them in different packages. So I was fine with it. I thought it was in hindsight, it ended up being a really good idea.
It makes me wonder, and it's still way too early, opponent and just like the way of things, the game plan could determine how the rotation is. So I'm not saying anything in concrete, but it makes me wonder just obviously Ajayi is the lead back, but passing downs when you need when Doug wants a receiving running back out there is we all assumed it was going to be Clement. But Doug loves Sproles.
Yeah.
He was this past offseason, he was, as we all know, every day he was asking Howie, when are we signing Sproles? When are we re-signing Sproles? Early last year, when our running back group was in question, even when you had the game against Kansas City, Sproles was the guy. Sproles was arguably our quote lead back. He was getting a lot of touches, and he was the guy that Doug trusted the most. It's quite possible that it's Ajayi and Sproles, and then Clement here and there, not the other way around with Sproles and Clement. But again, it could vary depending on opponent, matchup, different things.
Well, I think if anything was proven last year, is it's absolutely going to be matchup-wise. I think that we saw, depending on the defense that we were playing, if you needed to have that guy, that gadget guy like a Sproles, you'll try. They'll utilize Sproles a lot more. He'll start the game, or vice versa. You know, how many games did we see LeGarrette Blount start, especially early on when Ajayi was here, and then they kind of late in the season started to lay more heavily on Ajayi.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the first half of the year to maybe 3/4 of the year, keeping the rotation, and then kind of implementing gradually Ajayi being more of the focus of the running game.
So this way you kind of preserve him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to because you have to now be concerned not just with Ajayi and the chronic knee issue that he has, but you have to be concerned with making sure that Sproles also is able to make it through the year. And so I think that as the season goes, Clement will be probably utilized a lot more middle of the game to give those guys those breaks.
No, that's fine. That's understandable. Any more comments on Facebook?
Sham Brown says, "Oh my God, this defense. Bradham is back now. Super stoked about it. I know Jim Schwartz was talking today. He's really excited to have his boy Bradham back." Robert Adelsberger says, "Yes, sir." Said that in the preseason. Clay Ferguson says, "Jags defense is the best in the league." He's also a Jags fan.
Yep.
So.
Clay, that's our resident Jags fan.
I didn't know that, Clay. I'm sorry. Jags got a good defense, man. I think they have the best defensive player in the league for sure, Jalen Ramsey.
But remember, Clay. Well, no, I think Aaron Donald is better, but.
Well, you're stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Remember, Clay. They got the best roster in the, overall, but they have
That quarterback.
Blake Bortles.
That quarterback, man.
I feel Clay gets so annoyed whenever I trash Blake Bortles. He's so quick to defend him.
But he's not annoyed at you. He's annoyed.
No, I know.
He's annoyed that he's in a situation that he has to defend his quarterback that badly.
But Clay's my boy. Clay's awesome.
Listen, I'm not as trashing of Blake Bortles. My point I made last week was he deserves the benefit of the doubt because he's won in the playoffs with this team.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's rough. He is. You don't know who you're going to get.
He's inconsistent.
And that's a problem. That's an understatement. That's an understatement.
I'd argue against inconsistent. I think he's consistently bad. I think he's just consistent.
Which we know you're going to make that argument. So
I'm just saying. I mean, inconsistent is Foles. Consistently bad is Bortles.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is.
Mike Parker asks, "How about Ramsey saying he could make an NHL roster with 6 months of skating?"
That's Ramsey just saying Ramsey stuff.
Just Ramsey trying to stay relevant. That's all.
He did get schooled by OBJ, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
OBJ took him to town, man.
Yeah. OBJ didn't have all his catches against Ramsey, but there was a good chunk. OBJ got the better of the matchup, but Ramsey got the last.
I just wanted to see a fight. It's the only reason why I was watching.
Right.
Just want to see a brawl.
Brodo says, "Hey Ralph, the Lakers finished 11th in the Western Conference last year."
He was going to say that.
Welcome back, Ryan.
Welcome up, Ryan. TTP Ballin says Olsen's got a broken right foot. Last I heard, possible postseason return.
Who was that?
TTP Ballin says Greg Olsen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. David Roska. Alexander Verrucci says, "What injury did Neil have? He hurt some kind of leg injury.
ACL.
Was it the
ACL?
Tore
it. Yeah.
Jeez. Roska says Rams, and yeah, Rams, yeah, baby. Oh hell yeah.
Goff still baby hands.
TTP says we're gonna smack the Bucks either way. Brodo agrees. Verrucci says think Ajayi should start to wear down the D. Then you see Clemens and Sproles. I think it's the other way. I agree more so with Tom. If we're gonna do something, I say Ajayi.
I like the way that we did it week one.
I felt like the way it worked week one. But you can mix that up, and you could absolutely switch it around and see what's going to work best. But I really enjoyed the way that it ended up panning out this week with the running game. And Ajayi, when you needed to have your number one running back fresh in the second half of the game, he was absolutely fresh.
Yep.
And that's when you look at the depth chart, there's no doubt that Ajayi is your number one. And probably maybe you could argue Sproles or Clement, whatever.
Yeah.
I would say I would put Sproles number 2.
Yeah.
But I want my number one running back, my number one option at running back to be fresh to close out the games.
Yeah.
And I felt like the way that Doug did it this week was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. And then a few more. We got Brodo saying, by the way, the sudden panic around the city regarding Mike Wallace blows my fucking mind. Relax, it's week 1. We kind of got into it.
We had a conversation about this.
My
Go ahead.
gosh.
That
Watch
was-
the game.
that was
Mike
Nick-
Wallace was fine.
That was
he
Nick
was
Foles.
getting open. Nick Foles was the one
Nick
that
Foles was
wasn't
not-
hitting him.
This
Nick
wasn't
Foles was the one that was 19 for 34.
Yeah.
Okay?
this wasn't a case. This wasn't a case of times where we saw with Torrey Smith last year where he was dropping balls that
Yeah.
he should have caught. Realistically, Nick Foles was not putting the balls where they needed to be for Mike Wallace to complete the plays.
Yeah.
But Mike Wallace, if you go back, and Charles is right, as Charles says, go back and watch the film. You can go back and you can see Mike Wallace was getting open and creating opportunities. Foles just was not getting the ball to him.
It seemed like Foles was kind of hesitant to go down the field.
Oh, for sure.
It was just a quick here and there, quick in there. You know, I mean, your best wide receiver on the field, Nelson Aguilar, has 8 receptions for 42 yards.
He had
Yeah.
a ball game too.
He wouldn't, and Aguilar was getting open down. Like people were saying, like, oh, he barely had any yardage. He's not getting deep. Like it's just all short stuff. No, like Aguilar was getting open down the field.
It's just that Nicky wasn't pulling the
hitting
trigger.
him. Exactly,
Yeah.
he wasn't pulling the trigger.
And I think Dallas Goedert has to learn that in the pros, you got to get both feet in the end zone, not just one.
Yeah. That was a good catch, though.
It was
a
a good
college catch.
It was,
It's a good
yeah, but
college-
it was encouraging
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you could throw that fade into the quarter of the end zone. He's just got to learn to get his feet. And I don't even know for sure that he would have got that other foot in
Yeah.
on that play, but there was no attempt to even try.
Yeah.
He's got to learn that, and I'm sure he will. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah.
But it was encouraging to see that they
To see
can
something
run
like
that
that.
play and see that he can go up and get the football.
Yeah, and I will say, and I said it in the post earlier, like a few days ago, the interception, that's more on Foles than Goddard.
Yeah.
Goddard didn't have time to secure the catch. Literally, right when the ball hit his hand, that's when he was hit.
Yeah, it was a good football
can't-
play as well.
It was. You can't expect. It doesn't matter if you're Julio or Antonio Brown. You can't expect any wide receiver to make that type of catch. When literally, right when it hits you, you don't have time to grab it. You're getting hit. That's on Foles because he was late to hit him on that route. That like on a cover 3, if you're gonna throw the seam route, everyone knows that you got to be quick because that safety is lurking right in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
You throw a seam route, he's gonna crash down easy, just like he did. So that's more on Foles. That was his, like you said, his hesitancy to throw down the field caused him to throw the ball late and caused Goddard to not be able to secure the catch. That's what happened with the interception. So people need to lay off of Goddard. Is my point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Antonio Verlone asks, is Sam Darnold good, or is he just a product of the Lions' horrible defense?
No, I think he's good.
I think Darnold's going to be the real deal.
I love it. I love it, guys.
I don't think that
If he's
I
good.
don't think that the defense
The Jets and the
Hurt
Browns are
him.
back.
I don't think the defense hurt him. If anything, though, that was a good game for him to come
Yeah.
out and get a confidence boost and kind of get going.
You know what was impressive is that he had that game after he threw a pick 6 on his first
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah,
It's
his
not
very
about
first pass
very
was a
first
pick
pass
six.
throws a pick 6,
Yep.
but then he has a good game.
And there's a lot.
that says so much
That
about
deep
him.
ball to Robbie
Absolutely.
Anderson was a dime.
beautiful.
Man.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I mean, there's a lot to be said, and you're absolutely right about a young guy, and that's where you kind of it's what that first big test, not just the little tests that you see. That's a first big test. You come out and immediately you're facing adversity, and
It's a Monday night game.
how do you react?
Yeah.
And he came out and he had himself a nice little ball
It
game.
was the Monday night game.
the first
everybody
one
was
out.
everybody was watching him.
And listen, he's with the Jets. There's a lot of eyes on this kid right now. There's some expectation there. I'm not saying a ton, but there's some expectation. You know that they're in fairness, they're probably the closest to something that's going to challenge the Patriots in the Patriots East Division. But
I will say that I will go on a limb. As of right now, the Jets are the most set up team in that division to run away with that division once Brady's done.
I would. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely
Yes,
would
I
agree
agree.
with that.
Yeah.
Well, Buffalo stinks.
Yeah.
Buffalo, and we're going to talk about on the second half some of the games around the league. Buffalo looks like the worst team in football.
Yes.
I will make my one change is that I will move Buffalo down to
To
last
your
place
last.
and put Miami above them.
And if anybody out there on the fantasy for A2D on the east side wants LaShawn McCoy, just
Yeah.
call me.
I'm okay.
Call me.
I'm okay.
And also,
Okay.
I will say this, too, about that division. I thought Ryan Tannehill looked pretty decent coming out.
I
all
didn't get a
things
chance to
considered.
watch much of that game because of the delay.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch much of it.
I
but
thought it
would
was a
watch.
decent game for Tannehill coming out of the gate,
Mhm.
coming back from that injury as well, which is encouraging for them because I don't think they're going to be a doormat. It looked like they may be a doormat in that division.
Yeah.
Clearly, Buffalo's the doormat of the
my
league,
God.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
but especially in that division.
Before we go on break, let me just knock these out.
Knock a couple of them down,
Yeah.
and we can get
Ferrucci.
some of them in the second half because we got to get off Facebook, and Clay's got a
Okay.
bunch on here, too.
TTP, I want to get this comment. TTP says, Ajayi looks a little sleeker to me, but just as powerful. He could be an all-down back, and it's crazy, and we don't need to use him like that. Every run, he's fresh. It's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
He came into training camp slim and in shape.
Yeah,
so
he
that's-
looks good.
Yeah, he looks good.
Absolutely. Good. You can read some of the other ones.
Oh, okay. Rucci says, and I was saying bring Carson back week 3 because of schedule, but if his knee's 100% good, might let him knock off some rust. TTP says Ramsey talks a lot, but gotta respect the guy who backs it up. And then Roscoe says Rams kick ass last night. Oh my gosh. TTP says Darnold looks like he could be an Andrew Luck type player. Yeah, I compared him to Romo. He has very Romo-esque style in his play. So
Over on the book, I can't read them because Facebook sucks.
where did you leave?
Right under Antonio Rollone's comment, it's Clay Ferguson. The last, 5 or 6
okay.
comments are all him. Just run them down.
Okay, Clay says pretty much. Bortles won't see the end of his contract, but he's not consistently bad. He's consistently frustrating. OBJ didn't score. Bortles is actually solid at times when the Jags have the lead. Bortles had a passer rating around 100 in 2017. Put him behind. Nobody expects him to produce at all. I have a lot of stuff that I can say to that, but don't panic. Eagles Wentz will be back much sooner. The Eagles have a top 5 defense. Darnold could be great. Fireman Ed is a fraud since we are talking Jets. Buffalo is trash. Miami looked better than the Titans. Colts have nothing other than luck. And then my boy Mario says, Chucks, what up? What up, Mario?
That's funny. Fireman Ed. He's right. Fireman Ed's a fraud. Just an FYI, too. For the second half of the show, because we're going to be taking our break in about a minute, second half of the show is exclusively on YouTube. I already dropped the link in the comment section. If you look now, you can see it's at the bottom. So make sure you guys join us for that. If you don't, usually it's a good time. But just kind of rounding it out before we head over to the second half, and then we'll talk the rest of the league. We'll talk Buccaneers preseason, or Buccaneers week 2. I'm still in preseason mode, for Christ's sake. And we'll talk much more. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com. Stream Smart, our other sponsor, and Scanzano Sports. On the other side, guys, join us. Thank you to Instagram. Thank you to Periscope. Thank you to Facebook. We love talking with the fam. A lot of great comments and participation this week because it's real football, guys. Everybody likes to talk real football.
Let's do it.
And we're going to continue to do it on the other side.
We'll be back.
So we'll be back in a few minutes.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome back to Birds of a Feather live from the Real Talk Studios on A2DRadio.com. Exclusively now on the YouTube. If you guys stuck with us, we appreciate if you made the jump from Facebook, YouTube, or Facebook, Instagram. I got to remember Instagram's in here now, or Periscope. We love you guys and appreciate it. Since the Godfather's not here, we thought we'd bring the king of defense in here. Weapon X is going to be joining us here on the couch. Second half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours at GibsonMayer.com. Also by Stream Smart. And again, our Scanzano Sports poll question, which really will fit a lot more in now with our kind of coverage of the rest of the league through week one. What's your biggest takeaway after week one of the NFL season? The Eagles' defense might be scary good. Talked a lot about that in the first half. Browns didn't lose. Cowboys' offense unimpressive. Aaron Rodgers' comeback was unreal. Other storylines, obviously, we talked about Tampa Bay, the Jets. A lot to talk about for the rest of the league in week one. So, we know that me and Charles took Aaron Rodgers. Tom took the Eagles' defense. We didn't give Ralphie's yet. Ralphie, what's your takeaway from week one?
Yep.
How about them Browns, man? I've seen Rodgers do it before, so it's nothing new. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, the Eagles are nice, but how about them goddamn Browns?
Oh,
man? Holy shit!
Wait.
We were all talking. And at one point when they picked it off to in overtime, I jumped out of my chair like I was a fucking fan.
We
oh my God, here we go.
We all became Browns fans. It was crazy.
I was high-fiving my mother and all that. And I'm like, hold on, am I a Browns fan right now? Jesus Christ.
Like I told you guys, when Gordon caught that touchdown, I went nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, Josh Gordon's back. Oh my gosh, which was
it's just so nice to see them like improving.
Yes.
It really does, man.
Well, I told you I was in Omaha for the first half of the games before I had to fly home. I was at a place called DJ's Dugout, which was actually a fantastic place. And on our show page, I did share a video of I was trying to take a video of what I thought would be the Browns win.
Yeah.
At the end, and so in Omaha, clearly there's no specific sports team that people are aligned with.
Yeah.
As far as the major sports, a lot of people are baseball Cubs fans or Royals fans or football Bears or Chiefs fans. But for overall, it's a smorgasbord of fans, and it was all over in this place. There were Vikings fans, there were Jets fans, there were Chargers fans, and there was a table of Steelers fans.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
going through the whole emotions of watching how that game started to play out. And they were on their high horse. And then when the Browns started making their comeback and going into overtime, they were a little bit tighter in their seats, holding their sphincters a little bit tighter and closed. It was interesting, and it was fun to watch. And there was out there they play Pee Wee football on Sundays because when the Cornhuskers are playing, that's everything out there.
Yeah.
So all the families were there with their kids and stuff after the game, and I'm talking everybody aside from this table was like into it. Like they were Browns fans. You'd think it was a Browns bar. And just the reaction though at the end. I mean, obviously I never thought I'd see the day that I'd see Steelers fans on week 1 cheering a tie. They jumped like they just kicked the winning field goal or threw a game-winning pass at the end. That's how scared they were of what the Browns were doing and what their team potentially going down 0-1 with the Browns winning that game. But that being said, it was as Cleveland can get for the end of that game. But that being said, a lot of, like we talked about, a lot of encouraging things, I think, for the Browns to come out. Josh Gordon is back. Jarvis Landry had himself a ball game. Yep. I thought Carlos Hyde looked really good running the football. And I think it took him a little bit, but Nick Chubb, I thought, had one or two really encouraging runs because I thought he started a little slow when he had his opportunities. I was impressed with the Browns this week overall. And I think that the future does look bright in Cleveland. I don't know if we ever thought we'd get to that point where we'd be saying that. But they took a team who was perennially the top dog for the last 30 years, for all intents and purposes, in that division, and they pushed them to the limit.
Yeah.
The absolute limit. Unfortunately, they couldn't close it out at the end, but they didn't lose.
Yeah, they didn't lose.
They didn't lose. They broke the losing streak.
One step at a time.
It's a stepping stone, absolutely. And wait till Baker. I tell you what, and I thought Tyrod looked okay in the game.
Yeah, he looked okay.
But listen, I think Baker's going to be just fine when he finally gets his opportunity, and he's going to have a lot of weapons to play with.
Yes. I got really excited. Again, I'll say I just got really excited at the end with Gordon because, man, this guy, if he comes back in a few weeks after getting back into shape, he can be so good.
It's been a weird.
It's
been such a weird ride with Gordon because he's one of those guys that I don't know why. I just wanted to see him succeed. The talent is so.
It's there.
Undeniable.
It's like
with
all
this
of America right now is looking at Josh. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, don't mess up.
Don't fuck
Don't
up,
mess up.
please.
Like it's
because the talent is right there.
Yeah,
it is.
You saw it Sunday when he went and grabbed that touchdown. It's all there.
Yeah, it's
just don't smoke the weed.
Yeah.
It's so undeniable, and I think it's really nice and encouraging to see that for the first time. I feel like he has his head on his shoulders and in the right place.
Yeah.
And I don't. If you smoke weed, that's your thing. It is what it is. Half the country now, it's legal in some facet. But when there's a standard in place, and he has not been able to follow that standard.
Yeah.
That the NFL, the expectation that's there. And I think that, you almost look at some guys and it's like some people can't appreciate prosperity and having the gift and because it's not a right to play. It is a privilege to play in the NFL. Whether you love or in any sport, it's a privilege to be able to do that and make the money that you make. And if you're that talented, I'm one of the people, you absolutely deserve it. But you should have to adhere to the guidelines. And he's one of those guys, I've waited for him to get his head on straight, and it seems like he's there.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be at a better time for Cleveland right now. So I hope, I'm with you, don't mess this up.
Don't mess it up.
Hope that this is finally the time for Josh Gordon and for Cleveland to step out of that doormat mentality and make some waves in the league. And again, I think Buffalo's going to end up being the new punchline in the league. So we'll see. I mean, it was a fun game to watch, even though it kind of ended anticlimactically.
Yeah.
With a tie, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm with you. If I didn't pick Aaron Rodgers, I probably would have gone with the Cleveland
game.
Yeah.
So another game I want to touch on is the Niners-Vikings game. Did you guys watch it?
So I did get to watch this game because it was an early game. Jimmy GQ did not look great in this football game.
Actually, I
he
think
had moments.
I think he played better than most people actually want to let on.
It took him a while to get going, and they did climb back into the game. I think he made a few tough decisions with the football, though.
The pick six wasn't his fault, by the way.
Yeah, well.
No, the wide receiver came out already and said.
Right.
Said it wasn't he. The wide receiver ran the wrong route. It's supposed to be in breaking route. He ran to the outside.
Right.
Hence the pick six. He didn't. Jimmy G didn't play great. I will say that he did. He has some mechanical flaws still to this game that are there from last season. So he wasn't a perfect game, but overall, that Niners team hung in with that Vikings team.
They did.
I watched the game through because I'm probably like most people. I watch Red Zone, so I get like the highlights of every game as they happen. But I like to go back and watch on Game Pass every single game condensed, so I can see every play. I rewatched the Niners-Vikings game. Man, the Niners, they hung in there and they played the Vikings really well. And if I'm the Niners, I know
it's fucking fly
emotional. I know,
around.
a loss is a loss. You never feel great about it. But I was impressed to the point where I think coming out of that, I'm very encouraged by the Niners and the way they played against the Vikings. Again, Kyle Shanahan, his system gets people open. How many times in that game did we see George Kittle, Dante Pettis, Garcon wide open, multiple offensive players going against the Vikings defense get open consistently? And if Jimmy G was more accurate, he would the Niners could have had several touchdowns. He missed Kittle in the back of the end zone. Kittle did drop that one long pass down the left sideline. That is on Kittle. But man, my guy Dante Pettis, he had a sweet touchdown catch back at the end zone with his hands. With Goodwin out, that is a big loss. If Goodwin's out for a long time, that's a big loss for them. But Pettis looked great as a rookie. He's out there. And on defense, DeForest Buckner could have a Pro Bowl year this year. He came out with 2.5 sacks. And then you also have Fred Warner, their middle linebacker, who's stepping in for Foster before Foster gets back. Man, he had I forget how many tackles. He had over 10 tackles. He was all over the field. They've got talent. Jaquiski Tart, my favorite name in the NFL, as I always say, he could have a Pro Bowl year. He is so good too. He's all over the ball. So I mean, Niners lost, but I am more encouraged by what I saw from the game than discouraged. I think they look good.
Yeah, and on the other side of the football, I thought Kirk Cousins looked very good this week, and I think he looked like a more confident quarterback with a much better team around him.
Yeah.
I thought Dalvin Cook looked good, although the turnover was.
Well, yeah, that's his fumbling.
Yeah, he's got to work on that.
And he had that problem at Florida State.
Right.
That's
fumbling.
what.
He's got to fix
Except
that.
for his off-field issues, that was another knock on Dalvin Cook was he couldn't take care of the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was clearly still something in his game that he's got to work on. But I thought he looked good running the football. I thought he looked dominant at points. And I think Minnesota's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Absolutely. I thought Adam Thielen had a ball game as well.
Stephon Diggs had a good game as well.
Oh,
They
man.
There's a
Kirk
lot
Cousins
of
finally has weapons, man.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of
finally
weapons
has
on
weapons.
this football team.
Yeah.
So, what game are we going to move on to next here, Charles?
Let's talk about the Cowboys-Panthers game.
Oh God,
So I didn't see the game because I was in the air,
they
but I've heard not great.
they look atrocious, and I love
not
it.
great.
And I love
heard
it.
it is not looking good at
Oh,
all.
God.
How's
As I-
Allen Hurns as the number one, huh?
Oh, my
How's
God.
that? How's that panning out?
This is what I got out of seeing that in its entirety. The only thing I came out of that where I felt encouraged for the Cowboys that I felt was good was their pass rush. Their pass rush was actually pretty good. But besides that, one, the offensive line does not look the same.
Yeah.
Again, he's a rookie, but the rookie offensive lineman that they drafted, I forget his name. Sorry, I just gave
Connor Williams.
Connor Williams. Ass handed to him.
Yeah.
You look bad. The guy who replaced Travis Frederick is no Travis Frederick, and you notice that. But they're not. That line did not play horrible.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't understand is Zeke is running well in terms of Zeke himself. Like, he didn't look slow. He didn't look like he looked like Zeke. But they barely ran. They ran him, 7 times in the first half or something like that? You are supposed to be a power running team. That's what your offense is supposed to be predicated on. Zeke, play action, go downfield. You're going, this is why another reason why the Cowboys are not going to be good this year is because of their coach. They have no idea what they're calling. You're going to try to run the offense through Dak Prescott, who also, by the way, has mechanical issues of his own, and you could see that because constantly missing guys wide open. Ball placement was horrible. Missing that tight end. He had a tight end wide open down the field. Just missed him short. Constantly off across the middle with Cole Beasley throwing behind him. It's not just the receiving core because they weren't getting open too a lot of the time, but it's on both of them. It's on the receiving core and it's on Dak. They look bad. So why in the world would the coaching staff continue to call passing plays and not give the ball to Zeke? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And their defense, they did well because they held the Panthers to 16 points? That's pretty impressive. So that defense did play pretty well. And again, their pass rush was pretty good. But their offense, man, that's ugly. They have the only chance they have at competing for a wild card is if they just run the damn ball. I don't know what the problem is. So if they don't do that, Jason Garrett should be fired.
Elliott's stat yesterday: 15 rushes, 69 yards with a touchdown.
Yeah, give him the ball.
His
give him the
longest
ball.
was 17 yards.
17 yards.
Yep.
The Panthers were playing the run well, but the thing is, even if Zeke is getting stopped, stop, you have to feed him the ball because you got to be consistent with it because eventually he's going to break one. He had one first down, which was really, really good, a really good run. The line blocked well for him. You go back to the well. If it's working, keep going because that's your strong point of your offense. That's your identity. You don't at the sign of one bad play, one negative play, you don't deter from it. It doesn't make sense.
Is it safe to say that Dak has regressed?
Yes.
Or is Dak who he should have been coming out of college at where he was drafted?
There's a reason why he was a 4th-round pick.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a mix of both.
And is it fair to say that Dez Bryant would have been a better option on this football team than any of the wide receivers that they are currently trotting at, minus Cole Beasley at this point?
Talent-wise, no
yes.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I think what they were trying to do is
Just Jerry Jones being stubborn. That's all.
How long are we going to continue to hear now the excuses of now it's going to be Dak has no wide receivers around him and that's the excuses?
Listen, that's not my problem. That's not my problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, shit. Carson went 7-9 with terrible wide receivers his first year.
No one and Cowboys fans didn't want to give him the pass. It's not, like I said, it's not just the wide receivers. Our rookie year, or not our rookie, sorry, Wentz's rookie year, it was easy to see.
It was all our rookie year, okay?
All our rookie year. It was easy to see the potential of Wentz.
Yeah.
Because outside of what was around him, he showed so many good things.
Well,
he had flaws.
There was a lot of times where he kept us in games when we shouldn't have been in those games.
He had his flaws
as a rookie.
But he showed way more good signs. The thing is with Dak, now even though now his weapons around him have deteriorated, his skills have deteriorated as well. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's playing well and it's just that he doesn't have the talent around him. It's both. It's both cases. There a lot of people that I follow, they point out Dak's now technical and mechanical flaws in his throwing game. He's not setting his feet when he tries to run out of the pocket. If you know, for example, if you watch Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, when they get back into the pocket and there's pressure coming out the sides of them, they step up in the pocket and they slide. Correct? Yeah. You slide up in the pocket, but you maintain your platform, your base, and they throw. That's why they're able to get good trajectory and still throw a good ball. What Dak does is when he gets back there and there's pressure around him, he'll tuck it and run toward the line of scrimmage like he's trying to run the ball. And then at the last second, he'll see someone and then try to throw it as if he's running forward. That's not mechanically sound. And that's something that Chris Sims, that I listen to a lot, pointed out. And it's you can see it when I watch the game. I can see it, I'm like, wow, that's 100% accurate.
Well, that's been Dak from day one. That was his biggest flaw.
In his rookie year, he didn't do it as much. That's what I'm saying. That's where the regression comes. In his rookie year, he was throwing with a little bit of flow and timing, and he had a rhythm to him. But that's gone. Yeah. He's not he's regressed. And even Chris Sims was saying this is happening. He's regressing because he's not putting in the work to pay attention to all these little details. Mm-hmm. And this is what happens when you go from year one to the rest of your career. You have to maintain your development falls on you, and then you have to maintain as defenses adjust to you, you have to improve and adjust your game as well.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at some of the Facebook stuff here, or the Gruden post comments. We'll get to that, but TTP Ballin says, poor play calling. I'm sorry, but Zeke's got to get more touches than that. Dak's an awful he says Zeke needs 15 touches in the first half. If they don't run him like DeMarco, that team's not going anywhere. And then Sixers JT says Dak's an awful quarterback. Only reason he still has a job, I think, is his mobility. Dak's great at escaping pressure but can't throw for shit. The only reason they scored was when Dak would scramble out of pressure and get a first down. And then here, TTP says, shifting back to the Rams game, I laughed out loud at Gruden's post-game press conference. Sixers JT said, I can see Lamar Jackson becoming a Dak-like player, hopefully better, LOL. But he says, what did Gruden say? And TTP says, quote, we need to get more pass rush.
Yeah, did you hear that?
I did not, but that's amazing.
How awesome is that? We have
amazing.
To get more pressure.
Last time I checked, you just traded away the best pass rusher in the game as a linebacker and a DN.
Oh, my gosh. You can't make this stuff up.
Sixers JT says, yeah, ironic for him to say that. It's still hard to say who won the trade, but as of right now, Bears won it. TTP says that move was absolutely horrible regardless of the picks they got back. You don't become a better team by trading away all-pro, Hall of Fame level talent. Here's what I'll say. You always leave it open-ended because of what you could possibly get back. You don't judge it until you see the picks and what they become. But at best case scenario, they were going to get another Khalil Mack.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you're going to get the same player. At best case scenario.
And they're not going to pay him?
An absolutely elite potential Hall of Fame player, as was said in there in the comments. So, is it really worth the trade? Another guy that you're going to have to pay down the road anyway. Unless you get two Khalil Macks or you get a Carson Wentz and a Khalil Mack, that trade doesn't mean shit for you. Yeah. It was a terrible, terrible move.
And if the Bears are on this trajectory, if they play well, that pick isn't going to be high. That's not going to.
No.
Those picks aren't going to be high at all. They'll be
No.
like middle to late in the first round. You're going to get a Khalil Mack middle to late. Like the chances. Okay, you can.
I mean, you could.
You could.
Let's
you could.
talk. In the
You
NFL of
could.
all the drafts,
You
is
could,
probably
yeah.
the one league where
Yeah.
you can
You could.
get the best player
But-
who ends up being in the draft
But
like
if
28th.
if you're aiming for a Nick Bosa or an Ed Oliver type of player who look like to be the two top players in the upcoming draft, you're not going to get them where you're at. Like you're not going to be picking at the top of the draft. That's my point. Like you're going to have to make. If you want to move up to get them, you're going to have to make several more trades than that because those picks from the Bears are not going to. It's not going to get them by himself.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now you traded with the Bears, but you just made the Bears a better team than what they were.
Exactly.
So those 2 draft picks could be 15 to 20,
Yeah.
essentially, if they make the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, what a dumbass trade by the Raiders, man. You know what's funny about this?
sorry.
I said
Raiders
it all.
being Raiders.
I said it all last week on Facebook and Twitter and on the shows. How can you find $100 million for John Gruden, but you can't find any money for Khalil Mack?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
But fear not, Raiders fans, because you went out and you re-signed Martavis Bryant.
There you
today,
go.
Yeah,
There you go.
Which who will probably
go.
play
Be
for
suspended.
1 to 3 weeks, and then he'll
Yep.
be gone for a year.
Suspended.
So great move.
He is. Suspended.
That's where they had to free up the cap space
Yeah,
to
to
be
get
able
yeah.
to re-sign Martavis
It was
Bryant.
all for Martavis,
Yeah.
So,
who they had already but cut. But they need to re-sign him.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right. But on the Rams side, I mean, they did look good last night.
Yeah, they did.
They closed it out. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but they were consistent all night.
Mhm.
I felt like this is what they did. What the Cowboys were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
They kept feeding Gurley.
Yeah, they did.
Like they're like, we don't care. We are going to feed Todd Gurley, and it
Have fun
worked.
trying to stop him.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it worked. They fed him. They run, play action downfield. Cooks, Woods. Who's the other guy?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
That's a game plan.
Yeah.
If you have a running back like that, that's what you do.
They're going to be tough to play this year.
Yeah, they are, man.
We're like
gonna
getting all
fucking
excited about it.
stink.
Like you guys are like, yeah. I'm like, fuck that. I don't want to hear that.
No,
shit.
but what I will say is their defense. The one weakness in their defense is the middle with their linebackers and their safeties, because as you can tell, Jared Cook had the game in his life against them.
Yeah.
And that is their weakness, is their linebackers, their safeties, and their edge rushers. They have Sue and they have Donald. But that's in the middle. That's
Yeah.
interior. They don't have anything on the edge. They don't have good linebackers, and they don't have good safeties. They have one good safety, sorry. But that's it. And that's why Jared Cook was able to do what he did. So if they do have a weakness. They definitely do have a weakness. And on the offensive side of the ball, their weakness is still, I don't know if you want to say weakness, but they're not someone like Green Bay or the Patriots that are going to dissect you with their passing game. If you can stop Todd Gurley, or not stop him, but if you can minimize him, limit him, that takes a lot of their offense out. It makes Goff pass more than what he's able to do, more than you want him to do. So they're not unbeatable, but when they have that running game going, they're definitely very tough to beat.
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
Yep.
Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
Oh.
Wow. Did not.
Well, whoever
see
had
that
the Saints defense for fantasy, God bless you.
Guys, I'm so sorry.
Listen, man, did not see that coming.
No.
Ryan Fitzpatrick out there, who I have defended on this show previously as a decent quarterback. Not great. He's a very good backup,
Yes.
serviceable starter if need be. But my man came out and had a ball game, man.
He did. Fitz magic, as they say.
I mean, if he does this for another game or two,
See you, Jameis.
Jameis rides the pine.
I agree.
This is
I
the-
agree.
Hey, Chicago.
This is different than when Carson Wentz with the Carson Wentz Nick Foles situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely different. I don't think Carson Wentz is a special talent, a potential number one quarterback overall in this league. Jameis Winston can be a good quarterback, but is very inconsistent.
Yeah.
And a lot of other issues that go on there. I'll tell you what, for Tampa Bay, I'm riding it out with Fitzpatrick if this is something that's somewhat sustainable, at least until the wheels start to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
Then you give Jameis a spot back.
Yeah.
But for them, they got to ride the hot hand while they got a chance to do it.
Might as well, right?
Wow. And I know that the Saints defense is not that good. They're overrated.
But
like
you're
Tom
home.
was talking about.
But you're home.
You're at home. You still have a dynamic offense, which I didn't think the offense looked that great other than flashes as well, although Michael Thomas had a really good game. But you can't give up 48 points to the Buccaneers. And that was just – there has to be something that Tampa Bay did right to be able to produce a ball game like that against them, regardless of how great their defense is. At home, it is tough to win in the Superdome, and they just walked in and owned the fucking place.
Yeah, they did.
And it was fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. You just kept seeing New Orleans fall further and further and further behind. And I'm a huge Drew Brees guy, but damn, that was fun to watch.
Yeah, I had the Browns and Pittsburgh game, and the score came up on the bottom. I'm like, okay, 17-7. I mean, 17-17. And like 20 minutes later, 40-23. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's really doing this in New Orleans. That's crazy,
It's
man.
crazy. Like, one thing that I will say, though, I found out, I didn't realize, and that's why I wasn't too surprised come game time. New Orleans the past few years have finished at best 0-2. They've gone, I think, 0-3 twice and then 0-2 once the past few years. So
They
they
started
got off
slow
to
last
year
I
they
think.
started 0-2.
I think
That's
they
what I'm
started
saying.
slow
That's my
last
point.
year.
That's my point. Yeah, the last few years they've not just last year, even before that, they
But
started really slow.
48
So,
points at home
that's
against
bad.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
led by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
it's crazy.
Come on, man.
Lattimore, I've harped his praises, but he had a horrible game.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Jordan had a horrible game. That whole defense had a horrible game. And
They drafted Marcus
They-
Davenport, right? That's who they drafted.
that was a joke of a pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Marcus Davenport was like a day 2 grade
Yep.
by me, and they picked him. They traded up in the first round to get him. My God,
Could have had another safety in Derwin James,
I
but
know,
you know.
they could have, but no, they want to do Marcus Davenport, which
Yep.
did wonders. Derwin James, by the way, which we'll get into, I guess, in a bit, but he had a game.
Yep.
He looks good. But yeah, I will say my other takeaway from the Tampa Bay New Orleans game, Chris Godwin looks so good. His one catch over the middle, oh my gosh, that was nice, and then his touchdown catch looks so nice. He is going to be a good wide receiver too for them.
So
A really good wide receiver too for them.
So let's transition now into this week because we have Tampa Bay coming. We're
Okay.
going to Tampa Bay this week.
Okay.
So what are we looking for this week? Again, I think we're encouraged by what we hear about Carson.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. I don't think we're going to see Carson this week.
I don't think so.
So we're going to be led by Foles. Charles, what are the keys to this game?
Defense, first of all. Our corners, like
Deshaun is out.
They're
Deshaun Jackson is out
receiving-
with the
Deshaun's going to be out, so
concussion
you're going to see a
protocol.
lot of Evans. You're going to see a lot of Evans. You're going to see a lot of Chris Godwin, and you're going to, in my opinion, you're going to see a lot of OJ Howard because he's just.
That's my boy. You
Yeah,
know I
he-
love me
he
some
looked good
OJ
too.
Howard.
So you're going to see
I
them
think
three.
this might be that year.
I mean, I'm not forgetting about Cameron Brate. I'm just saying I think OJ Howard is this year. I think he will start to get more reps.
Sure.
And so, those are the focal points. Our secondary is going to be. All of them can beat us deep. So the defense is going to have to play. The secondary is going to have to be very disciplined. Now that front four, we can get to them. Their offensive line is not that good.
Right.
We can get to them, and that's the thing about the Saints is that they at one point they were only rushing 3 and dropping, and playing cover 2 and dropping 8 defenders in the back and saying, okay, just go ahead, and they were giving Tampa Bay 5-6 yards of play, like it was a gimme. We're not doing that. There's no way Schwartz is going to do that.
Yeah.
He's going to be aggressive. He's going to dial up the pass rush. I don't know if he's going to do this again, but against Atlanta, he dialed up blitzes.
Yeah.
He dialed up blitzes. So we're going to get after Fitzpatrick. I think we all know when Fitzpatrick, he's one of those quarterbacks, when you get pressure, he will make bad decisions. Like bad, he'll chuck it up there. So he's not conservative. He's not going to throw it out of bounds. He will chuck it up there and be aggressive. I think that's important that we our defensive backs. I think you're going to see a lot of zone. I wouldn't expect a lot of man defense. I expect a lot of zone, because they're not going to match up well man to man on Mike Evans or Godwin or O.J. Howard. Expect a lot of zone to keep them in front of us, and just let our front four or front eight, as we like to call them, get after Fitzpatrick.
Sixers JT's busting my balls. He says, "What are the keys to the game, Al Michaels?" 'Cause that's what he always says.
Yeah.
So, do we want to do a score prediction this week? Do we want to start doing that? We usually don't do that.
We can if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do one? You want to start us off?
Yeah, I think. I believe we're going to see a better Nick Foles this week.
I hope.
I have to believe that we're going to see a better.
I
Nick
think he'll
Foles
be
this week.
solid. I think he'll be solid.
I hope.
He might get off to a slow start, but I don't think it's going to take him the whole first half. I think that Doug will try to game plan and implement, as he did last year, tailor a game plan around enhancing Nick Foles' strengths. I believe this week the defense is going to be even bigger with Bradham coming back. I think it's going to be much tighter for them as far as being able to find opportunities to create plays. For me, I'm looking at, I think the Eagles' offense goes off a little bit this week. I'm going to say 31-17.
Okay.
And I think that the offensive player of the game, again, is going to be Jay Ajayi.
Woo!
And I think that the defensive
Even though he's
player of the
26 now.
game, I think Bradham's going to have a ball game coming back fired up. So I'm going to go with Bradham, and I'm going to go with Jay Ajayi on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay. All right. Score prediction, this is tough. I think I'm going to go. Because on the offensive side of the ball, I pretty much agree with you. I think Foles will have a better game, but their defense is something to be had. Obviously, the Saints put up still absurd amount of points. They put up a lot of points on them still. So I think we are still going to have a good game offensively. I'm going to say 27 to 17. Defensive player, I'm going to go back to the well, and I'm going to say Darby. Oh, F it. I'm just going to go same two guys. I'm going to go Darby, and I'm going to go Ajayi. Again, for the second straight week, I think Darby gets a pick six, and then I think Ajayi gets in the end zone again, at least. And I think he's gonna run over that Tampa Bay defense.
So this just came out on 24/7 Sports. The left tackle for the Buccaneers, Donovan Smith, already anticipating an Eagles crowd in Tampa Bay.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
We
Listen,
do have
brother.
a good fan base down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I love
we do
it.
have a fan base.
I've been told that if you want to travel for a game, Tampa Bay is one of the best places to go and check out an away game.
Yeah.
It's the whole environment, the ship, and all that shit they have
Yeah.
out there. I mean, I've been around the stadium before because I visited the Yankees spring training facility. It's right next to there. It's an awesome environment down there. So if anybody's going down to the game, man, give us a report back next week. We'd love to hear about
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
TTP says he's got 26-13 Eagles.
That was pretty close to what I said.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you got?
Hopefully, Nicky can play a lot better than than what he did Thursday night. And like Tom said, he plays well down in Tampa Bay. It's warmer weather, thank God,
Yeah.
for Nicky. But I think we can win this game. I'm gonna go a route. I'm gonna go 42-13.
Ooh.
42-13. I'm gonna stick with that until Sunday. Because here's the thing, like what Tommy said, Tampa Bay scored 48 points, but can they do that again? You know what I mean?
No,
Can
I
they
don't
do that
think so.
back-to-back weeks? Because you've seen football teams in the past where they'll have a great game, they'll put up a 50-burger on a team. The next week they'll just come out flat.
Yeah.
So I don't think
Much better
and our
defense they're going
defense is
against.
way better than the Saints defense.
Absolutely.
Way better.
Way
yeah.
better. And I just think we just route them. So I'm going to go 42-13.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different. It's a much better defense with a lot more playmakers, and their playmaker, they're one of their biggest playmakers on offense, and Deshaun Jackson
He's out.
is out.
Yeah.
So that's going to put a lot more pressure on Mike Evans and on the tight ends and everything else. So it's a fair point.
Yeah.
It could happen. It
Yeah.
wouldn't shock me.
It wouldn't shock me either. You want to do YouTube comments? We missed a lot.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so
It's a lot of
yeah.
TTP and JT are going at it.
Going a little bit
Not
back.
going at it like that.
Alexander Verrucci did ask this before.
Okay.
If the over/under for Carson was 35 touchdown passes, what are you guys taking? And remember, he missed, assuming he misses 2 games, so I'm assuming he comes back week 3, and also taking into account he threw 33 last year with missing the last 3 games.
If Carson comes back
week 3.
I'm going.
week 3,
I'm going under.
I'm going to go under.
I'm gonna be a realist. I'm gonna go under.
I think he's going to throw more than 30, but under 35. I'm looking at probably 32, 33 this year, maybe 34. Same number as last year.
I'm sticking with what I said months ago. I think he eclipses it. I think he comes back.
Charles had him throwing 72 touchdown passes this year, so.
Correct. I'm just kidding. I had high 30s. I had high 30s if I remember correctly, so I'm going to stick with it. I just think he's going to come back. This was going to be part of my no huddle, but watching that America's game special on NFL Network last week before the Thursday season opener, first of all, it was great to watch that. But seeing Carson Wentz and just first of all, when it got to the part in the Rams game when he got hurt, it was hard for me to watch. Even if even knowing that we won the Super Bowl, it was just hard for me to watch because you recall everything, all the emotions you went through watching that, and how you felt like the season was lost for a second. You felt like, oh my gosh, there's our season. There's our guy. We love him so much, and you hear him talk about it, and it hurts because you love Wentz, and then you hear what he had to say after the Super Bowl, and how he said, how he was so happy being there, but at the same time,
I seen that, dude. That was so. I love what he said.
I honestly I did tear up a little bit because we've fallen in love with Wentz so much, and we want him to win one.
Yeah,
to be the guy they're playing to win one, and I just I didn't have faith in the draft pick when we picked Wentz. I was skeptical of it, and I prayed I was wrong, and I'm so glad I am wrong. That I guess it's part of me is making it up, where I'm just putting so much faith in Wentz that I think that coming back this season, he's going to be playing like a man possessed.
Yeah.
Because he wants to get back to the Super Bowl. So I just feel like he's going to go off when he comes back.
I felt like at the time, it's not that I wasn't open or confident that Wentz could be the guy. I felt like at a time where they had so many holes to fill, they were giving a lot up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like they weren't that far off at that point from being competitive. But again, you're right. Absolutely wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong because what they did was it wasn't just about being competitive and having a shot at winning the Super Bowl. It was about building a team that's going to be there year in, year out for a decade and having that franchise cornerstone. And Howie Hero knew that was the guy.
Yeah.
And I absolutely believe that he's going to continue to be the guy. And I agree. Carson is just such a special guy. It's not even just the on-field stuff. We know what a talent he is. But for the people who are watching, who maybe don't live in this area, or to see how this guy's ingrained himself into this city and become a part of the community, and he supports the other teams and the other athletes in the city. He runs his foundation out of the city, and he just is such an important figure in the city now.
Yeah.
And really at a time where we're very fortunate because there's so many young special talents now in this city at the same time. When you talk about a Wentz, a Joel Embiid, a Ben Simmons, I even look at the Flyers. I think a kid like Carter Hart's going to be someone who we're going to look into.
Ivan Provorov.
I look at those guys that are the Flyers who are going to be guys who are going to be cornerstones for this team for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the Phillies, a guy like an Aaron Nola. It's a special time because all 4 sports teams are young and growing.
Yeah.
And they're all young guys who, don't have egos. Some people would argue, does Joel have an ego? I don't think he does. I just think he's a fun guy.
He likes to have fun.
Because he's so humble when you see a lot of the stuff the way he is on a day in and day out basis. not just the Twitter stuff. That's funny, hilarious.
Yeah.
But Carson is just like that guy. And when I look at the city, and as much as I love Ben, and I love Joel, to me, Carson is like the king of this city.
Yes.
Because this is a football town.
Exactly.
I talk all the time about the fair weatherness, whether you love it or hate it. It's a real thing for a lot of the sports in this city.
It's a
But
football city.
The Eagles could lose every game, and I truly believe the next season they'll be sold out with people painting their faces, tailgating at the games, supporting this football team. And this, to me, Carson Wentz is the king of this city and will be for the next 10 years.
I totally agree
And
with that.
I absolutely, I hope, like you guys do, that he gets the opportunity to be the guy throwing the passes in the big game. But, and just saying, if for whatever reason, one way or the other, and if not, I hope that he's not a guy who looks at it as that wasn't his Super Bowl, because we would have never been there if it wasn't everything that he did for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to all the
up
fans
to
that are
week
blowing
15.
Nicky, don't you forget who got us to 11-2.
Yeah,
You know?
people don't talk enough about the impact he had to build that team and that roster and their confidence to that point to where we were playing elite. Like we didn't start off the year and blowing out everyone.
Yeah.
Like it was we had close games. Like the Redskins game came down to the last 3 seconds. We lost against the Chiefs. The Giants game came down to the last second. Like Wentz and his progression and just everyone believing in him got the whole team and raised their play, their level of play. It raised everyone. And it got to the point where when he went down, it became so much about the team playing together because now they believed in each other.
Yeah.
And that once was a large part of that. And other people were too. The leaders on the team, like Dougie P., Malcolm Jenkins, they were all part of that too. But Wentz was every bit a part of that because had it not been for Wentz and what he was able to do and have that MVP type season to, through the 14 games, there's no way we would be playing at that high of a level. The players that were played in the Super Bowl would not be playing with that type of confidence and moxie and attitude where they weren't afraid of the Patriots.
Yeah.
They would not have had that without Carson Wentz. So, I agree 1,000% with you, Chrome. This wasn't, even though Wentz didn't play in the Super Bowl, this was still just as much about him as everyone else.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And also thing I found pretty cool, what you were watching, that whole show, that was pretty cool to watch. How the season started off, the biggest play of the season to start off was the BG strip sack of Kirk Cousins to win that game. And the biggest play at the end of the year was Brandon Graham's strip sack of Tom Brady to at least seal the deal and set up in field goal range give us some more of a lead for the Patriots.
BG opened the season
with a strip sack
and closed it out. With a strip sack. He is
so many underlining stories to last year. It's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
But Carson's king.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
And you know what? Nicky always has his place. He has his place now right outside of the stadium because there's a statue of the Philly Special.
Yep.
And that's well-deserved. And by the way, I love the statue, and I like that they didn't make it about, the catch or this and that. I like that they made it with the play call of that moment. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, no huddle. Let's jump in.
Let's
huddle.
Let's do it.
Go ahead. You go first.
You want me to go
Kick
first?
it off, yeah.
I think it's and I kind of called it. All right, and I won't do my horn, but I kind of did. When everyone in the preseason was making a big fuss about the helmet rule and how it's going to be unbearable to watch like these games, can you guess how many helmet rule penalties were called on Sunday?
932.
Helmet.
Oh,
I
am
would
I wrong?
say, I would say 3.
7.
1. And the one
Was the Cincinnati
was the
game.
Cincinnati egregious. And what I was saying is, if someone my biggest worry was if a player is going to get ejected from this rule because of this rule, it better be egregious.
Yeah.
That hit was egregious. That was a dumb ass hit.
Now, if you get ejected, are you suspended the next game? Or
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think
okay.
you're just ejected from that game.
Okay.
So far, I have no complaints about the rule.
Yeah.
And I think let's hope this is the trend. Let's hope that this is only called when it's like, oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
And players are only ejected when it's like an absolute undeniable dirty hit.
Yeah.
Because that was a dirty hit on Luck. That was really bad. So I thought that's very interesting, and I think it's a good thing for the league, and I think it's good that everyone just is calm down about the helmet rule.
You got one, Crow?
Yeah, this was a conversation in the Real Talk group, which if you're not in the Real Talk group, you need to get in the Real Talk group. And this one was one that went back and forth. I'm going baseball, Charles. Sorry,
Go
so
ahead.
you could just
Go
sit
ahead.
there
No,
and
you're fine.
have fun with your computer, watch your Pornhub. But no, but the conversation of who is the NL Cy Young this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, clearly the three favorites: DeGrom, Nola, Scherzer. Potentially, none of them are going to make the playoffs, but they're clearly the top three guys.
Yeah.
I hate to burst Phillies fans' bubbles, but it's easily DeGrom, without question. And I've seen the argument of, oh, well, how's he having a historic year? He's got the 80th or 60th or 70th best ERA in the history of baseball. How historic is that? Well, listen, when you look at sabermetrics, the deep metrics of everything, it's not just about wins and losses anymore. You're talking ERA. You're talking all those deep-rooted things. And also, the fact that, because I went back and I looked it up when that comment was dropped that, oh, he's got this. I think nine of the top 80 ERAs in the history of baseball were before 1920. And if you know what a baseball felt like in 1920, imagine those. Remember, you ever hold one of those croquet balls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's not quite that level, but it's pretty comparison. They called it the true dead ball era for a reason. Over the years, they added rubber bands and different things to liven the ball up, so you'd have more hits, more home runs, this and that. Which also, by the way, side note, makes it crazy, even more impressive how Babe Ruth used to be able to crush that ball out of the stadium. But to sit there and look at things, and it's clearly people who aren't educated and people who don't go back and look at who understand the history of the game and how special it is the season that DeGrom is having this year. There is no question in my mind that this kid deserves to have that award. And he's had games. You talk those wins and losses. There are a number of games that he had lost 1-0, unearned run games.
Yeah.
He lost a game, I believe it was 1-0 with an unearned run. And because his team can't hit.
Yeah.
And that's not anything. He can't hold the bat. He can't make these guys hit. I'm sorry, guys. Aaron Nola's a special kid. He's going to continue to, I believe, go on that plane up. And I think he's going to continue to grow and be better and better. But just because we hate the Mets, because we do this in this city, we just had the conversation earlier that people want to sit there and say how bad the Giants are. They are not a bad football team. But we want to do that because we hate them. He's a special kid, DeGrom. He's having a great year this year, and he deserves to be recognized for it. And Aaron Nola's time will come when it's there. And Max Scherzer's been there before, and I think both of them, in my opinion, are outdoing him this year. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Let's understand the facts and do our homework first and understand the history of the game and what the ball was like. The game was like in 1920s and 1930s and 1919.
Yeah.
To understand how special what this kid is doing. Those guys were going to have those ERAs.
Oh,
then.
yeah. Absolutely.
What do you got, Ralphie?
Well, my no huddle would be for the Buffalo Bills. Hey,
Oh.
Buffalo.
Nice.
Oh.
Because there's a report out in Buffalo now that Sean McDermott is in between of starting Josh Allen or Peterman again. And all I got to say, Sean, don't be an idiot. Just start Josh Allen. We already know what Nathan Peterman is. Just start Josh. Get him fresh. Put him in the fire. Let's see what this kid has. Maybe something happens. You guys win one game this year. You know? But that's my no huddle.
Jesus.
I think I agree.
How
with
is
you.
that even a debate?
Yeah.
You're absolutely
I think I
right.
agree with you. Yeah, I think usually when it comes to guys like Allen, where they're really not ready, like mentally they're not ready, and I stick by that. Usually I say sit them, but in this circumstance, with the Bills being as bad as they are, they really have nothing to lose.
They have nothing to lose.
They have
man.
nothing to lose, so I agree. I think you just got to put them out there and hope that having the potential franchise quarterback starting for you now will kind of uplift the team. I think Peterman there, people like that doesn't do anything for the roster.
Listen, I mean, at this point, if there's that much of a question mark and you're not ready to put Josh Allen out there, that's the team that should be going out talking to a Paxton Lynch or a Christian Hackenberg or, dare I say it, a Colin Kaepernick if he wants to come back and play.
Yeah.
That's the team that should be looking at those kind of opportunities and options. And how happy do you think Nick Foles is, by the way, that he didn't get moved to Buffalo in the offseason?
Yeah, no.
Just a side note on
Seriously,
that.
yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you.
Yep.
My last one I want to throw in, and again, it might crawl on Phillies fans, but I think most would actually agree with this, is David Wright finally close to coming back to Major League Baseball.
Yeah, how about that?
And he's one of those guys who I put him in like the Emmitt Smith category, or a Jason Witten, where I hate the team, but I absolutely respect the guy. I respect the way he played the game when he was healthy and his attitude and just kind of who he is as an actual individual. He's a class act.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad what happened to him. He went from being the elite top 2 or 3 third baseman in the game to absolutely riddled with injuries. And I don't think we ever thought that there would even be a chance that this guy would be able to come back. And they're saying that he may not make it back in time for this year, but it's looking real good for him to be in position to come back and start playing opening day next year. So I want to give him a lot of credit for battling back and going through everything that he's done to try to come back and play. I know he's a Met. I know we hate Mets, but I will say that most Phillies fans I know who actually do appreciate baseball respect David Wright.
Yeah.
And I say good for him, and I hope that David Wright gets to come back and play again. So
He's old. How? No, I'm just throwing it out there because he's in the 30s.
Yeah.
Because
he was pretty young when he came up.
Oh, okay. Because I just remember David Wright because
probably 36, 37.
Back in 2007 when I started working at a sports memorabilia shop up in Central Jersey, and it's the New York market, so it's all New York. David Wright was like one of our
He was popular
main guys,
back then, yeah.
one of our main guys. So you mentioned him, I'm like, geez, how old is he? That's why I asked. But
David Wright is, I'll tell you in 1 second, 35 years old. So I figured he's probably around there,
Yeah.
34,
not
35.
too bad. Okay,
36.
so he was young back then.
He was a young guy when he came up.
2007.
So anyway, respect to David Wright, man, and I hope that you do get to come back. So
Gotcha.
anything else for the cause, fellas?
One more. I got one more for my.
Fuck, Charles. Why do you
I
throw
only had
things
one.
off?
I only had one.
You always say, I just got one this week. All of a sudden, he wants to throw a second one. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So
Congratulations, Darnell Pumphrey.
Corey Coleman signed with the Pats.
Okay.
And I know there are a lot of I got a lot of remarks from Eagles fans.
And Kenyon Barner.
And Kenyon Barner. Good luck with the punt returns. A lot of remarks from Eagles fans, like, we're kind of not like mad, but kind of like, damn, it would have been cool to see him, like, sign with us and then turn his career around like Nelson Aguilar and be the same thing. And maybe it's me getting defensive because I love Aguilar, one of my favorite players, but you can't compare them because people have to remember with Aguilar, his struggles were drops in confidence. Okay, in terms of talent, but he was always a hard worker. He was always a high character guy who came in, worked his ass off in practice, flashed the talent, just didn't have the confidence. He was all up in his head. And
except for his visits to the strip clubs.
Strip club, that's fine. Which one of us doesn't have a visit to a strip club before? But what I'm saying is Aguilar's issues and why he struggled are completely different from Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman has been on record and been reported that he's just lazy and he doesn't get it. And he's immature. That's a totally different problem than Aguilar. Okay, that I don't. Again, it's small and petty, but I don't like that people try to throw that comparison out there because to me, to kind of have that sort of like hope or expectation. That's not realistic to me because Corey Coleman is lazy and immature. He's not an Aguilar where Aguilar was a hard worker, high character guy, leader. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way to see. It wasn't just one person. It was a bunch of fans I see commented here on Facebook and Twitter and some of my friends that I text with, it's like, calm down. That expectation is not realistic in my opinion. And to me, it was kind of annoying to hear. So that's what I want to touch on. And that's what I will end with.
Cool.
Cool.
No, I hear you. I mean, I think it would have been it was worth a look. I think the original question was, do you think it's a bad idea that we're bringing him in or something along those lines,
No,
good or
that's
bad?
fine.
And I say
That's fine.
everybody's worth a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if they bought him in and he impressed, then they
Listen,
signed him.
Corey
I would have the
Coleman-
confidence in it.
Don't forget, he was a first-round pick. You know?
He's got talent
yeah.
at the wazoo.
He's just fucking lazy.
He's lazy and he's immature.
Yeah.
But again, it's a different environment being here.
Yeah.
And the Eagles would have no problem if they bought this kid in and he didn't have the work ethic. They would cut him.
Yeah.
So would I have confidence that if they decided, if things ended up falling where Corey Coleman signed here, I would have been fine with it, and because I know that they'll do what needs to be done if he doesn't toe the line.
Mhm.
So, good stuff tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Ralph, you did a pretty
Week
decent
1.
job there, buddy.
2 weeks in a row. I like it.
Other than you couldn't figure out how to use a mouse, but
No.
that was the
Put
Lake,
on
that
me.
was the Laker crumb in you
Don't
coming
put
out.
that on me.
Thank you to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Scanzano Sports, as always, for the poll question. Week 1 down, guys. Week 2 coming up. Really excited. Thank you to the fam if you join us on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Instagram, whatever platform you join us on. We appreciate it and love to talk to you guys. Next week, we're coming back with a recap of Eagles-Bucks in Week 2, guys. We're pretty stoked. And obviously,
the bro should be back.
And the bro will be back. We have invited Ralphie if he ever wants to hop in.
Always welcome, Ralphie.
Once or
Chairs.
twice a month, we got the open space. Just don't think you're going to sit in any of our seats, Ralphie. And they're now assigned. You got to sit around one of these. We'll let you figure that out yourself. But, yeah, the bro will be back next week. You guys will be back full staffed.
Tomorrow.
Full crew tomorrow.
Woo.
The Bad News Bears of Sports Talk Radio. The Fix. So we're excited for that. Obviously, AM and the PM. All the great shows this week on A2D Radio. Make sure you check us out. And again, like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and join Real Talk. Appreciate you guys, as always. For Chrome, Chucks, Big Ralphie D over there in the corner. We'll talk to you next week. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Woo.